Good afternoon, everyone. This Sunday, the 15th Sunday of Ordinary Time, was one where I could have kept on talking all morning. There was much more to say about the bridge between the first reading and the Gospel, more to say about Jesus being somewhat more complicated and not all that straightforward, and there was more to say about the practicality of knowing the motivation of one's actions. But above and beyond all of that, I just need to expand for a little bit about the notion of human-centric complexity and harm, because that's where this homily message really came from. I minored in political science in college, and the professor who taught me most of my classes was a huge scholar of China. He was American, but he loved China. He adopted a couple of kids from there. He knew basic Chinese calligraphy, and somehow he included China in every class that he taught. Now, it wasn't every session of every class, but even that was probably pretty close. He was always talking about China. Anyway, it was because of him that I first learned about Tiananmen Square, which was the Chinese protests that took place back in 1989. And it was mainly a student-based protest. And among other things, it questioned the validity of the communist government. Well, one day it turned violent, and hundreds of people were killed by the military. And in one required reading assignment, one idea really just stuck in my head for reasons I don't completely understand. The author began this chapter with the question, why do we remember this event so painfully and so clearly? Yes, a lot of people died, but people die all the time. And not that many people died at Tiananmen Square, not compared with natural disasters, open warfare, disease, or even a year's worth of car accidents. We remember Tiananmen Square so painfully because it was murder, and peaceful protest was the direct cause for it. It was not a kill or be killed situation. It wasn't some kind of desperate but necessary action. It wasn't a proportional reaction whatsoever. There was absolutely no excuse for it, no reason for it. And that makes it incredibly difficult for us to understand or forget. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. I read that 13 years ago. But that basic message has always sort of stayed with me. Today, in church, when I said that human beings complicate things, I mean it. We have this terrific ability to heal or to harm in life. In the gospel, I've seen human kindness undo the very worst that nature has to offer. And in that same place, I saw whole families shake apart out of sheer unresolved conflict. Those ethical actions, those intentional deeds that people will into existence, those are what make or break us. When the forces of nature hit us, we're sad and upset. When the doctor gives someone bad news, or if there's an honest mistake that results in major damage, we deal with it. We might be depressed for a while, sure, but overall, those things don't break our spirit. We rise above it before too long. But when we're forced to deal with abuse and betrayal, absolute selfishness or cruelty, that is what will crush us completely. And I've been seeing a fair amount of that lately, now that the United States has a mass shooting twice a week. There is something in here that tells us that thinking, civilized beings should not be doing this. And our souls shudder at the sight of it all, because we know deep down that we're better than this. So let me close by repeating the whole point of today's lesson. The true solution to all of this is not hard. Basic goodness, simple kindness will not go to waste. Even if the person you're with has a problem that you can't solve, even if the person you're with is living their life in a way that you don't agree with, even if the person you are with will never see you again after that moment, compassion and a semblance of peace will not go to waste. And maybe that's all the Holy Spirit is waiting for from us at the end of the day.